Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today I am ready to start again for a new year. I took a little bit of a break from videos, and now I am back with a lot of fun projects that we're going to be doing this year. But first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about planning. And one of the things you can plan for that I wanted to talk about today is your winter interest. So as you're thinking about landscape designs this year or what plants to plant, you need to think a little bit about winter interest. Now in the spring and summer, the bulbs, the perennials, all those beautiful annual flowers, they can be absolutely gorgeous, but they die back during the winter, and if that's all you have in your landscape, then you'll have nothing to look at. So let me show you what I've done in my yard to show winter interest. Now, as you can see in my yard, we have a lot of evergreens. Junipers are not the most beautiful shrubs, but they exactly do what I need on this hill. So what they're doing is they are preventing erosion, and they are something to look at for the entire year, and they were a cheap way to cover a lot of space. And they're very, very drought tolerant. So they have worked really well on this hill. Now this is a lower growing juniper, and they also provide a habitat for the birds. Now one of my favorites in my yard is my gorgeous and quite tall baby blue spruce. Now these trees were here when I moved in at first, and they were really tiny. They were only about 6 feet tall. That was 15 years ago. Now I would say this one right here, now it is on a slope, so it looks a little taller than it really is. But I would say that's about a 20-foot tree, baby blue spruce. And the one next to it is probably about 15 feet tall. So they do get pretty tall. I would say this one is probably maybe 10 to 12 feet wide. So they get pretty large, but they make beautiful winter interest. And what I love the most, and I missed videoing yesterday morning, when the snow was being held on the branches. I think that is when is the most gorgeous, is when the snow accumulates on them. You get that white against blue, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And they keep this color all year long. They are mostly drought tolerant. They cannot tolerate saline soils though. So if you are living in an area where you have saline soils, don't use these. Now here's another variant of the blue spruce. This is a globe blue spruce standard. Now I've done videos on my blue spruces. There's several different varieties, but as you can see, this one's on a trunk. It's about, I'd say 13 years old right now, and if you don't count the trunk, it's probably about 4 feet tall and 6 to 8 feet wide. So they do get pretty large, but they are gorgeous when the snow piles on top of them. Now here's another variant of blue spruce. This is supposed to be a globe blue spruce, which is supposed to get 6 feet tall and wide. This one has ended up, and this one also, they've ended up in more of a tree shape than I thought. I thought they'd be kind of 6 feet tall, 6 feet wide, round, like my ones on a standard. But maybe they're just really slow growing trees. I don't know. But as you can see, it is up against my weeping cherry, so it has restricted the growth on one side a little bit. But it's kind of a little bit of a tree shape, but it is smaller. So this is a globe blue spruce. So this is another variant of the blue spruce. Now another variant of blue spruce is this weeping blue spruce. This is about as tall, it might get a little bit taller, very slowly, but this is about as big as it's going to get. And this is probably, I would say, maybe 9 to 10 feet tall. And if you count all the contortions, it is probably about maybe 4 or 5 feet wide. So these are gorgeous for a small area. But any blue spruce will not tolerate the saline soils. Just remember that. Now another plant I've used for winter interest is lavender. And as you can see, this is my wee one. It's only about a year old. It is semi-evergreen. And they make beautiful mounds throughout the landscape. Those are great for winter interest. Now these are my larger lavenders. I did not cut these back because I am removing all of them. You can see how they've kind of, sorry for my shadow, but you can see how they've, let me see if I can get out of the way here. You can see how they've kind of started to fall apart, and they've got a lot of old wood. And I'm going to be redoing my entire front yard this year anyway, so all of these lavenders are coming out. But when they're in their prime over the winter, their semi-evergreen foliage makes for great winter interest. Now another thing you can use, I have my weeping cherry. This is a Snow Fountains cherry, and its shape is absolutely gorgeous in the winter. It's gorgeous in the spring, summer, winter. I love it. Some people have a difficult time growing them, but I really like this one. This one I planted probably 8 years ago, and I don't know if you can see on the interior of it, the shape is really beautiful. You can also take regular shrubs like my lilac here and sculpturally prune them. I pruned out the inside of this lilac so that in the winter I would have something interesting to look at. The one issue with doing that is lilacs bloom on the newer wood. So if you constantly prune out the new growth to make it sculpturally pruned, eventually the flowers are all pushed to the outside edges, as you can see on mine. So every once in a while you need to go in and remove some of the larger, older branches as the new ones grow in. So here are my grasses. These are overdam featherweed grasses. They've seen better days. But before they're smashed by the snow and before they get really, tattered by the wind, these make beautiful sculptural elements in the winter. These I'll be cutting back here shortly, and they will grow back and be beautiful. You do need to cut these back. You can cut them back in the spring or in the fall. I cut mine back in the spring just so that I can look at them over the winter. Here's another grass that I think does really well for winter interest. This is my Mexican feather grass. The snow does smash it flat from time to time, but it really actually recovers quite nicely. And the wind doesn't break it off. It bends down really nicely. It's a really supple grass. So this one's an excellent candidate for winter interest. Another one of my shrubs that I think has done really well for winter interest is my little devil ninebark. Right now, most of the leaves are off, but a lot of times the leaves will hold on a little bit through the winter and give it more of a mauve look. That color that it had during the summer will stay on for quite a long time. Right now it's February 1st, I think. Yeah, the very beginning of February, and it's lost a lot of the color, but the shape really makes for a really nice winter interest. Now, one last thing I wanted to show you for winter interest is my fruit trees. And if you'll notice, these trees are pruned sculpturally. You can leave fruit trees, have them be kind of ugly, or you can use them for all-season interest. Plus, they provide fall color, spring flowers, fruit in the summer. I think fruit trees are amazing for landscape plants. You just have to keep up on top of the pruning every single year. And when you prune them, think about looks as well as productivity. So I'm glad you joined me today on this adventure. And as you're planning your garden this year, definitely look at it and think about what it will look like over the winter. You can head out to your yard right now and start to visualize a little bit about where you can use a little more winter interest. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe and go have a wonderful garden adventure.